Alright everyone, Twitter continues to try to poke the bear to wild applause from leftists who are now comfortable with multi-billionaires telling them what sort of political speech they should be able to interact with. You've become exactly what you hated back in the 2000s. This is why I won't vote for the Democratic Party. I'm going to call them the Democrats. Sound like a total MAGA hat wearer at some point. Because you're exactly like the people that backed Bush. You sound exactly the fucking goddamn same. And it pisses me off. And so a lot of these people are sellouts that are like, well, they wanted Bernie, they wanted like leftism, and now they want milquetoast neoliberalism and corporate censorship. Hey, corporations that abuse workers overseas, I want you to tell me what books I'm allowed to read. The total sellout tree. But here, we're going to read a tweet here because Twitter decided to put this behind a little thing. I'm going to read what it says. First, obviously, you get the violation message. They only do this for Trump, by the way. I've never seen another instance of it on the site. This tweet violated the Twitter rules about abusive behavior. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain accessible. Now, first and foremost, again, under binding federal court decision, Twitter cannot remove Donald Trump's tweets. They are part of public record. This has already been ruled on. His Twitter is essentially a public platform in miniature. Twitter does not have the legal authority to remove it, even if they want to. It has to be there accessible for American citizens. He can't ban people from the page. Twitter, oddly enough, under the same decision, I would think shouldn't be able to do that either. So they can't remove it. Here's this tweet, and you be the judge of whether this attacks an identifiable group, which is essentially the exact litmus test in their TOS. There will never be an autonomous zone in Washington, D.C. as long as I am your president. If they try, they will be met with serious force. I can think of several reasons why this does not comport to violating the TOS on Twitter. Now, meanwhile, Tom Arnold, which I reported on several weeks ago, it's been several weeks since I reported the tweet along with probably tens of thousands of other people, it's still there. This got fact-checked within about a couple of hours. Keep that in mind when Twitter says, by the way, we don't have enough manpower because of COVID. It might take us longer to respond to reports. Yeah, if I report someone for copyright violation, a month later the tweet will still be there. If someone defames me, if someone harasses me, if someone threatens me with death, that's perfectly fine. There have been times where those tweets have been reported openly by my fans and they're still there months and months later. Meanwhile, again, this gets put behind this little you're not allowed to do anything other than retweet with comment wall perpetually. I can think of two reasons why this does not conform to their TOS standards as far as why they would remove it. First and foremost, there's no actual threat here at all. He's saying that if a person breaks the law, and he's a public official, he's warning people if you attempt to break the law by establishing an autonomous zone, which you can't do, the Insurrection Act literally applies in such a case. If you are going to riot, form barricades, destroy public property, and disrupt other private citizens, we will respond with serious force. That's not a threat, though. The force is not identified. Neither, by the way, is an identifiable group. There is no specific group that is currently being targeted in the context of this tweet, unless a group is actually involved in the behavior, which makes them criminals. So Twitter's got a problem of how it's going to explain exactly why it's doing this. And they get like a whole spiel about it. This violated our policies, but we're going to leave it up, which is, again, empty. You can't take it down. Go ahead and do that and see what that federal court judge says to Twitter. See if he doesn't subpoena Jack Dorsey to come and give testimony if that happens. Maybe throw him in jail for contempt. They're not going to remove jack shit. You know why? Because they're legally unentitled to do so. Number two, I think that it's absolutely hysterical, the hypocrisy of Twitter, and then I find it hysterical the irony, again, of people who proclaim themselves, we're enlightened liberals, or we're leftists, I'm a progressive. But I don't care if a dude worth $4.5 billion running a site worth multiple billions of dollars with a multinational presence and foreign shareholders tells me what tweets from the president of the fucking goddamn United States I'm allowed to interact with and not. I would think this already violates 230 as well. It's almost like Twitter wants 230 to go away. Ding, ding, ding. By the way, I think that there's probably a reason for this sort of thing. Oh, it'd be easier for them to run roughshod over their competitors. Why don't we just enforce it and bring this particular site, instead of throwing out 230, bring Twitter forward before Congress and say you're violating this particular law and you're editorializing not only content, but content from the President of the United States. It's unacceptable. If you continue, you will lose your 230 protections. Why don't they just have it based on site behavior? Again, some sites do a fine job. Facebook is doing a better job than Twitter at this moment of conforming to 230. Zuckerberg has sort of walked it back a little and said, hey guys, let's have a little restraint. Mark Zuckerberg, a dude who literally looks like the bastard cousin of Nick Valentine, who has a robotic voice, bends his knees forward when he walks, and does weird shit all the fucking time, like eating toast without anything on it, thinking this is very human, literally stumbling over that reference before Congress several years ago. And he's the sane one in Silicon Valley, Mark Zuckerberg. The dude who sells all of the shit that you talk about to China for advertising purposes. Jesus Christ. And Jack Dorsey, I think he's still on sabbatical in Africa anyway. Is he even running his site? He does that weird shit. Like, he's one of those weird wanderlust kind of Gen Xers. He just wanders off to gain enlightenment. Like, he dropped acid in Burma years ago, so he thought that it made him really special. He thinks his shit don't stink. Trust me, I've met people like this. I can tell you from his personal behavior that he thinks this way. He's a goddamn blind egotist who wraps up his... But he's intelligent enough to be self-aware of his egotism, and so he hides it behind a facade of Eastern Enlightenment and diversity and outreach and all these other corporate buzz terms. And he's been completely corrupted by his own success to the point where now he's got no more mountains to climb, I think. And he's really sad because he doesn't have the kind of resources that some of the other tech giants have. So he's not able to be Zuckerberg or Sundar Pichai or someone like that, or a Steve Jobs lookalike. He's Jack Dorsey. He's on the secondary. He's on the JV squad, as Obama would put it. Very, very funny. Anyway, this is absolutely moronic, and the fact that there's not an outcry about this from people who are constantly telling me corporations bad, business bad, corporations abusive, okay, except for Silicon Valley. This is just more proof that Silicon Valley are masters at corporate branding. The reason why you look at Apple, again, trillion-dollar corporation, human rights abuse list a mile long over in China and other places where manufacturing occurs, cutthroat practices, patent trolling, the whole 9 yards. One of the most abusive corporations in the world. The rare earth mineral trade involves thousands of kids in China sitting there over vats of acid, putting electronic components in there, burning their own flesh off half the time in the process, and then extracting gold by hand. That's Apple. Apple is slavery in the DPRK for rare earth minerals. This is Apple. But these people feel very positively about the brand. You know why? Because they have rounded corners on all their devices and gentle, non-disturbing little colors, and they have a nice family-friendly Twitter and ad campaign where they come out and tell you about how diverse they are and how much they love BLM. That's why these people are nuts. They've been taken in completely by this corporation. And they don't care if this corporation runs a de facto monopoly, and tells them what to think and what they're allowed to hear. The fact that a half a dozen corporations fundamentally control all human communication in the Western world is not disturbing to the same people who would say, your local mom and pop store doesn't pay its employees enough, we need to boycott them. This place wouldn't make a custom gay wedding cake. They're in trouble. This place fired an employee due to Obamacare being too onerous on them and dropped their hours of... They have a problem with this, but it's out of sight, out of mind if there's slavery overseas. U.S. foreign policy, they act the same way. Trump kills Soleimani, chuckles about it on TV, they go into an uproar mode. Obama kills hundreds of thousands of people with drones, they don't bat an eye. Hillary Clinton goes into Libya, ruins the country, there's like 1 million slaves there. Now, oh, that's fine, because they don't have to see it. Because they're NIMBYers. As long as it's not in their backyard, they don't care. But they do want their iPhone. They do want their apps. They do want all of their music and all the other cheap crap that they interact with. And so they have no problem with Twitter doing this. And they've got Orange Man Bad syndrome so badly that they think this is some sort of hashtag resist Rebel Alliance thing. No, you're the empire. All the corporations are on your side. All of the corporations that collectively have so much wealth, they basically own the goddamn U.S. government, including half the GOP. They're on your side. They've been on your side the whole time. You're not the Rebel Alliance. You're LARPing as Harry Potter or you're Frodo Baggins or something. Oh my God, how goddamn LARPy and cringy and nuts and stupid and corporate screwed up can you get? How much propaganda have you gobbled down? The real problem is that millennials especially have grown up with nothing but post-Nickelodeon propaganda to begin with. It has been 24/7. When you were young, it was on TV, and then it was on the internet. Gen Z and Generation Alpha, even worse. Actually, I think there's a backlash against that sort of stuff among Generation Alpha. They seem to be a little bit more hip to, number one, liberty, and number two, questioning corporations. I think that's great. The corporations will just develop another trillion-dollar ad campaign, though, to screw up more minds. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, I'm a proud leftist. Hail Bernie Sanders. Oh, yeah, it's okay if this billionaire tells me what to think. Bunch of morons. That's about all. Peace out.